Hello. How you guys doing today? All right, my name is Ted, and today I'm going to be talking about Andrew Wommack because he is a teacher, and he started a school, a college, and the whole works, and he thinks he really knows the scriptures, and he can share them with you, and he's going to use them. Today I'm going to tell you all about one particular verse which he really uses to establish one point, that you don't ever need to get sick. Why not? Because you have disease receptors that God will take away from you if you are humble enough, and if you accept it and receive it. Those disease receptors will be completely blocking off all disease.
Many Christians, I'm talking specifically here to Christians who believe that God can heal. Many Christians believe God can heal, but they wait until they're infected, until they're sick, and then they start seeking for healing. And that's better than not seeking for healing at all. But I think there's something even better than that, and that is walking in divine health, to where, you know, this is kind of I guess a Star Trek or science fiction kind of way of saying it, but it's like you have a force field around you and no sickness can penetrate that and get to you. What about the people who are Christians and they love God and yet they're sick, even Christian leaders and stuff? And I said, well, I'm not condemning anybody, but I can guarantee you God has provided healing. And if we get sick, it's not God who failed, it's me that failed. God gives grace to the humble, and if you will humble yourself and say, God, you're faithful, your word is true, and if it's not working in my life, it's not you that's at problem, it's me that somehow or another hasn't learned how to receive. It's one thing to pray and believe God for healing when you're sick, but it's even better to believe God not to get sick, to walk in divine health.
He's got this proven by a verse, a scriptural verse, Genesis chapter 23, verse 25. It says, and you shall know the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread, your water, and I, speaking of God, from God, I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. That's King James Version.
And we were promised that no sickness would even come nigh our dwelling. And Daniel, something I've been studying just in the last couple of days based on all of this was Exodus 23:25, and that verse says that you shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall take away all sickness away from the midst of thee. And I looked up those words in the Hebrew, and the word take and away, the word on either side of sickness, it literally means to turn off.
Wow.
He will turn off sickness, and it was put in there twice just to emphasize that, you know, whatever receptors you have in your body that make you receptive to sickness, he'll turn it off.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's a great revelation.
I've got all of that on our website. You can go study those things.
All right. So, Andrew, being the big guy, being the one who knows his Bible so well, being the one who starts a school where people can go to college, and a school that is accredited. You're going to love this when my next video, or one of my next videos, I'm going to tell you all about that accreditation. You're going to love it. All right, but it's accredited. All right. He refers to the Hebrew language with this verse, Genesis chapter 23. Did I say Genesis? It's supposed to be Exodus. What the heck? I wrote down the wrong verse. It's Exodus. Now, if you've already looked this verse up, I'm sorry to have misled you. I didn't mean to. From the bottom of my heart, I never meant to mislead you. But it is Exodus. Exodus 23:25. And you shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and bless your water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of you. And by the way, I'm going to have another great video coming up here really soon about Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, the law of Moses, and God's promise to bless those who keep it. and to curse those who don't. I'm going to get into why they don't, or why the cursing, why the blessing, and does that apply to us today? And I'm going to keep with the Bible. So keep on watching. You've got to keep on watching. And while you watch, please subscribe to me. Andrew refers to the original Hebrew language when he talks about Genesis chapter 23, verse 25. He refers to what this verse said in the Hebrew. You see, most of the Old Testament was in Hebrew. Parts of it were Aramaic. All of the New Testament was written in Greek. Jesus did speak in Aramaic when he first preached. But that's beside the point. What we're going to talk about today is that Hebrew, because Exodus chapter 23 was written in Hebrew. So he's going to dig into the words. Take sickness away from you. And he's going to be claiming that before and after the word sickness is take away. In Hebrew, he says, it's before and after. God is doubling up because he's really, really, really going to take away all sickness from you. Not just once, but twice, before and after sickness. On the screen, you will see exactly what Andy is talking about. Takeaway is both before and after. Before I move on, I do need to mention this is what is called Strong's Concordance. In 1890, James Strong published the first Strong's Concordance. Strong wrote every word used in the Bible, the Hebrew and the Greek. Hebrew Aramaic in one group, Greek in the other. He numbered every word numerically. And then he wrote every time each word was used, helping you to see where to look for that word. He defines every word, and he writes every time that same word is used. For every verse, he writes out Hebrew words, or Greek words, or Aramaic words. He applies their numbers, and then he defines each word. So if I click on this number next to sickness, I get every time this word is used in the Bible in the Hebrew, in the original language. Now, I'm going to say real briefly, we do not have the original, what are called autographs. We don't have the original writings. We have copies of copies of copies of copies. In other words, they've been copied dozens of times before we get them. Some portions, sometimes just little sections, maybe a part of a verse or something, may survive that are close to the original, but not really, really too close. Strong's Concordance makes it easy, even for the least educated person, to be able to work with it. So even if I don't know Hebrew or Greek, I can still come off saying I know a lot. If I say or use Strong's Concordance, I can say the Hebrew word for this is such and such and such and such. Now, with the internet, you can actually even get the pronunciation, how to say that word. So I can really sound bigger than I really am. I can sound like I know far more in the Hebrew and Greek than I really do. And you could learn this all in 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's real basic, real easy, because Strong's Concordance has done such a fabulous job of helping you to understand, to be able to read, to be able to get into the original language. Now, as I mentioned before, take away is mentioned before and is mentioned after sickness. it looks like, right here on this page, it looks like the Hebrew is doubling up. It's like the Bible is doubling up. God is going to take it away. God is going to take away what? Sickness. He's going to take it away. Twice. But if Brother Andy really knew anything about Hebrew, he could have looked above, read the Hebrew sentence, and realized the Hebrew word was only used once. Literally, this verse says, one word, I will take away. One word, sickness. Final word, from your midst. It is not before and after. The King James Version, the English version, says, I will take sickness away from you. In other words, the way Strong set it up, he's saying these before and after are referring to the one word that is in the Hebrew. But Andrew doesn't get this. Why? Because he doesn't know Hebrew. He has never studied Hebrew. This is very basic. I taught myself Hebrew, and I'm terrible at it. But I could find this right away. So I am saying Andrew Wommack is exaggerating his skills with Hebrew by telling you that the Hebrew word says this. He's letting you believe that he knows something far beyond what he really does know. Andrew is exaggerating his language abilities. He's trying to impress you. Why? He lives in a charismatic culture of exaggeration. And he exaggerates. This is Ted. Have a fantastic day. Bye.